Now we're going to look at neurons, your sensory, your relay, your motor. You're going to learn about, of course, labeling, mainly also label and function. Okay, now neurons in general is like human, the structure. Got head, got body, got butt. Okay, over S. So the head is called dendrite. The body is called axon. The butt is called synaptic knot. Okay, why I don't want to say leg, I want to say butt. Because, yeah, you'll get it in a moment. Now, neurons, right, they're all connected to each other, meaning sensory is connected to relay, relay then connected to the motor law. So it's like they're attached to each other. So humans, they're attached to each other. Okay, you heard of something called human centipede. Yeah, so it's that lah. If you know, you know lah. If you don't know, then go look it up yourself. I don't say here. So yeah, basically you have sensory, relay, motor neuron. They are connected to each other. So how neurons work here is, right, when they receive impulse, they will then transmit to the next. So you can see, right, the synaptic knot of one neuron is connecting to the dendrite of the next neuron. So the butt is connected to the head of the next person. Then same thing, this thing will continue to flow, and then butt connect to head again and slowly flow. So that's how nerve impulse flow. It's like this person eat already, and he poop into his mouth, he eat his poop, and continue poop out, and poop, and poop, and poop like that. Okay, so that's basically how neurons work lah. Okay, now I want you to focus on sensory and motor first. Because sensory and motor, they are more similar. That's why we look at these two first. So sensory, remember the function, we always say transmit impulse from receptor to the central nervous system. Means from receptor to spinal cord. Okay, motor is the opposite. Once you think already, it goes from the central nervous system to the effector. Now, don't say go back to receptor. Always you all write this one. No point going back to receptor. You want to go to effector, control your muscle to respond. Okay. Now, if you look at these two neurons, both of them got head, body, butt. Head, body, butt. Okay. That's the three things. Now, I want you to look at the definitions here. 1, 2, 3. Dendrites, the head, receive nerve impulse from other neurons, from other neurons or from external environment. Yeah, so dendrites generally receive nerve impulse because it's the head. Head is like makan. So you makan people punya poop. Okay, so but they say, right, it's either you receive from other neurons or from external environment. Now, if you look at these two terms, right, who receive from other neuron is definitely your motor. Okay, we are talking about between sensory and motor. Motor definitely receive from other neuron because connected from other neuron. But sensory will receive from external environment because it's the first one. Sensory is actually connected to receptor. Receptor detects stimuli from surrounding. So it's from the surrounding. Okay, understand, right? Then axon is just the body, so just transmit the impulse along the way. So we say away from cell body, we shall later explain in a moment. Synaptic knot is the butt. So butt is to send it to the next person. So they say send nerve signals to other neurons and effectors. Okay, now guys, on your turn, tell me. Sensory and motor, who send it to other neuron? Between sensory and motor, which synaptic knot sends impulse to other neuron? Whose butt connected to other neuron? Very obvious is your which, okay, in case you didn't hear properly, which neuron punya synaptic knot send impulse to the next neuron? Okay, I'm talking about sensory and motor only. Relay later first. Sensory and motor. So it's definitely, yeah, relay also got, but between now here, it's definitely sensory lah. Because sensory is connecting to the next neuron. Motor is not connecting to another neuron. Motor connects to effector. So this one is your motor lah. Okay, so that's what it means here. Can I, guys? Good. So those who mentioned sensory, correct. Very good. Now, so okay, now we look back here. If you look at the definition of dendrite, right, they say it receives impulse and then send it to cell body. Meaning to say, dendrite of the sensory is not just this part. It's all the way until cell body. Motor neuron, since the cell body is at the head, so dendrite will be just here. Meaning, if I ask you, this dendrite and this dendrite, what difference? So you can see that this dendrite, it is, compared to this, is more what? Can get what I'm trying to say or not? Okay, if you compare this dendrite, it looks small, longer, not smaller, it's longer, right? This one, right? This is longer compared to this, so that's the difference. So there's another thing we can compare. Now, axon is the opposite. Now, if you look at axon say transmit impulse from the cell body. So, axon meaning only starts from the cell body. This is the axon. Axon starts from here. So down is the opposite. This axon compared to this axon is shorter, right? It's the opposite. Correct or not? Okay. So there's another two things we can compare here rather than the cell body just now, which is axon is short, axon is long. So since the cell body is in the middle, it means your body is shorter. But this one seems like the cell body is here, so the body longer. Understand or not? So the dendrite, long, short. Can So that is the slightly thing you have, funny thing here if you remember. Okay, next thing, the myelin shift. Now the first four is the most important one. Okay, they ask more commonly lah. Myelin shift is basically like, okay, you can see that this sausage thingy is covering your neuron. So that sausage thingy, like sausages like that, is actually covering the axon, covering your neuron. So let's say your neuron is like this wire like that. Then you have myelin shift on top of it like that. Now this thing you can imagine like that. It's like, wire. Every time you see wire, you touch wire, there's this rubber coating on top of it. Why? Why is there always rubber coating on wire? Why does it not let you touch the copper wire inside? Very common sense, right? Why? Why we need this rubber coating? So this thing is exactly like the myelin sheath covering your nerve. Yes, so that you don't get electrocuted, right? You don't touch like that, right? You don't like hurt yourself. So same, nerve is like wire transmitting electricity. Nerve impulse is actually electrical impulse. That's why it's so fast. Your brain say put up a hand, put up a hand. It happens immediately because it's electrical impulse. So without the myelin sheath, you basically will electrocute yourself every time you send nerve impulse. Imagine you say, move your hand, you can feel like yourself being electrocuted. So exactly like you all say, electrical insulator. And number two, it protects the axon also. So just like wire, sometimes wire you throw on the floor, and sometimes you step, then you will patah. So you need this thing to protect it also. So these things are two. This two is the main reason. Just remember these two good enough already. Now, node of Ranvier is the gap between each of the neuron. The neuron block, each of the myelin sheath. So each of the myelin sheath, there's one small gap that's called node of Ranvier. Node of Ranvier, okay, so nothing much. You just remember it speed up the transmission of nerve impulse. When nerve impulse pass through this part, you will move faster basically. That's all you need to know lah. Okay, cell body. I'm only going to talk about cell body. Neurons are actually nerve cells. Nerve cells need to have nucleus. So nucleus is located at the cell body, the body of the cell. You cannot say body cell lah. Body cell is your body punya cell. This is the nerve cell punya body. That's why it's called cell body. Okay, so here is where the nucleus is. The brain of the cell is located here. Since the brain is located here, since this is the brain of the cell, it can integrate nerve impulse. Meaning it can also interpret nerve impulse lah. Last, the synapse. Synapse is basically the gap between each neuron. Now, every neuron, they are not exactly attached to each other. There's one small gap in between them. That's called the synapse. Okay, so synapse later we'll learn about it very soon, helps to transmit nerve impulse from one neuron to another. So how does this gap actually works? We'll talk about it in a while. Okay, so that's basically it. And now the relay neuron, finally. Now relay neuron, you can see it's very different because relay neuron don't have axon. That's why it's very small. So relay neuron actually, right, is throughout your entire spinal cord. It's not just, it's a lot of relay neuron. Right? So unlike sensory and motor, sensory is like one straight line connected all the way. But relay is just, it's just a lot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, a lot. In your brain also, there's many of it. Okay, because it's very short, very small in my relay neuron. Okay, so for relay neuron, there's no axon, there's only sensory dendrite and synaptic knot. Now for relay neuron, right, it is found only in brain and spinal cord. And like I say, it's to connect the sensory to motor, right? That's why the function is transmit impulse from sensory to motor neuron. And one thing here you got to take note here is, right, when question asks you to label, especially the dendrite and synaptic knot of relay neuron, right? Now, most of the time, dendrite and the synaptic knot look very alike. Even though here you can see that there's a difference in the knot shape there. But sometimes in the exam, they purposely draw very similar. So how to know which is dendrite, which is synaptic knot? The direction. Okay, see the direction. It's always from head to butt, dendrite to synaptic knot. Okay. And then last thing, let's go through the comparison a bit. Then we can do questions with it. Sensory and motor neuron difference. So this is the function. This is the structure. So question a lot of time like to ask structure difference. So if they ask structure, you cannot compare the function. Okay, it's like they ask you got 2 cars. Compare the structure of these 2 cars. You can say, oh, this car faster, this one slower. Nobody asks you about the speed, the performance. They ask you structurally from the outside, how does it look like? Okay, so say interneuron, so say CNS, central nervous system. Okay, now this one we already mentioned it, cell body, middle and terminal, cell body in dorsal root ganglion, in gray matter. This one located in dorsal root, this one located in ventral root. So that's another thing you can compare, meaning the whole neuron, where is it found? One in dorsal root, one in ventral root. Then just now already compare short axon, long dendrite, short dendrite. Also very easy. Yeah. Now, let's do one question. Page 41. We have, look at C. Okay, your notes will be a bit small. Again, so sorry. Now I will zoom in here. I can show you my screen here. All right. K is which neuron? Come on. Let's go. Page 41. K, this neuron is bengkak in the middle one. This is the main thing you look at. Bengkak in the middle one. Yes, that is your sensory. Okay, everybody. This one, no problem, right? Recognizing neurons. Then the other one, of course, is the motor. Then satu biji, small one, that's the relay. Okay. 2 differences between K and L. So just now we done the cell body difference already. Okay, so another difference here, I want to say, the easier one we can say is the body and the head, remember? So K, what in K is longer? K got longer. Dendrite, very good. Head is the dendrite. This one shorter, right? Okay, let's write this first. So we can say neuron K has longer dendrite. L has shorter. And next, the other one is what's the other thing? Yeah, the axon, right? So short, long. So it's the balik one. So K has shorter axon, L has longer. So neuron K are connected by one structure. What is the name of that structure? Just remember we say every neuron in between, there's this thing, there's this gap in between them. So we forget what's that already. That is your correct. It is the synapse. Yes, very good. So that's the synapse. So that's the thing that connect 2 neurons, even if it's just a gap. But the gap is very important. Okay, we'll talk about it in a while. One function of structure P. let's look what is P. So P is pointing at the coating, right? Okay, what is the name of this thing first? It's called the myelin shift. Okay, not one H, so it's shift, not sheets. Okay, my shift. Remember. So myelin shift, like I say, wire bringing out coating. What does it do? Act as. So the most important thing of the coating of wire is to act as what? When you touch it, it won't let you electrocute it, right? Yeah, so it's act as electrical. Don't forget about electrical. Insulator. And then that's it. Okay. You want to just like that. But there's a lot of things here you need to do on yourself, okay, because due to time constraint, I can't be doing everything with you. So, like for example, things like page 33, please do yourself. Okay, so this thing you can see there's like label neuron 1. Yeah, you should do yourself lah. Neurons, you just basically label, recognize them only. Okay, come on, last thing for today. Okay, we'll end slightly later a bit. Okay, page number 8. Let's do this. Synapse. So synapse, like I say, is the gap between the two neurons, the gap between synaptic knob and the dendrite of the next neuron. So remember, synaptic knob is the butt of the neuron, which is connected to the head, the dendrite of the next neuron. Now, there's one small problem here. So remember we said that nerves, when they transmit nerve impulse, it's like they transmit electricity. Just a wire transmitting electricity. So look at the wire picture here. When you cut the wire, there's a gap. Electricity, very obviously from here, cannot come over here already. Right? So it's the same thing here. Electrical impulse, how is it going to pass through to the next neuron if there's a gap there? So what happens here is, right, at the synapse, right, electrical impulse is temporarily converted into chemical so that it can flow across it, like liquid that flow across, then it becomes back electrical. So this is what we're going to look at. What we're going to learn over here. Next, look at this diagram here. So this is the synaptic knob, meaning the butt of one neuron. And this is the dendrite of the next neuron. Okay, the receiving neuron also that they call it. First, when electrical impulse reaches here, right, this electrical impulse, they know they cannot move to the next neuron because there's a gap there. So therefore, it will certainly go to these balls here. Okay, all these balls here will go into it, called the synaptic vesicle. Okay, so the synaptic vesicle is the first thing you go into first. You see, when the electrical impulse reaches the synaptic knob, it diffuses into synaptic vesicle. So here I put all the main points here. So first, synaptic vesicle, the balls. Okay, so synaptic vesicle is a pimple on your nose. See this in the shape of your nose like that. So that nose got pimple. So this pimple, when you pop the pimple inside, got what? Got pus. Come out. Correct? So when electrical impulse go inside this pimple, this pimple got pus, right? So the pus is inside it. There's name one. It's called, here they mention this, neurotransmitter. Okay. Now we break down this word, right? Transmitter means you transport. A thing that help transport, a transmitter, right? You transmit something. Neuro means nerve. So this thing is to help to transmit nerve. So how does it help to transmit this nerve? It's basically converting the electrical to chemical impulse. So this can come out in your essay. If you measure neurotransmitters 1 mark, you measure what does it do is another mark. Okay, so we are preparing one essay question here. They might ask like how nerve impulse move across the synapse. Okay, then what's next? Okay, this neurotransmitter, right? Once they convert the electrical to chemical, right? The pimple, like then it become very big already, about to burst, about to pop already. So this pimple, this synaptic vesicle, will move towards here and release the neurotransmitter so that the chemical impulse, the signal, can be carried to the next neuron. Understand? Again, so once the neurotransmitter convert the electrical to chemical, right, then it will move towards here and release the chemical impulse so that it can bring it across the next neuron. across the synapse. Yeah, the gap here is called the synapse. Okay. However, there's one problem. Because this gap, this synapse is very big. Neurotransmitter is very small. Like you watch a movie like that, there's this guy here that's very small, but you have to jump across this very large gap between two buildings. Okay. So it needs something to help him jump. So you look at this diagram here, right? This thing is going to help the neurotransmitter. What is this thing? Do you recognize what this structure now? What is this structure? It is your mitochondria. Exactly. As we know, mitochondria is correctly mitochondria. Very good. Mitochondria, what does it give us? It produces, obviously, since we learned in Form 1, energy. Exactly. So this energy is to help boost the neurotransmitter, bring it across. Yes, so this energy is for neurotransmitter to move across here. Okay, so basically this fella is like got energy, he I can jump over. But every time you watch movie, you're very dramatic. This person, if you know how strong or how powerful is he will someone just miss the other side and then go drown and die. But he won't die. Because before he drown and die, right, suddenly his hand, right, got one hand muscle the frame and grab his hand. Right? He got one brother, his good brother in front of him. He's like, bro, I got you. Don't worry. I catch you. So he won't die. Okay. So this person at the other end that catches him is called the receptor protein. Okay. So the receptor protein is like carrier protein, channel protein like that. Yeah. It will, the neurotransmitter enters here and then it will muscle the next neuron. Done. So neurotransmitter release into synapse. Neurotransmitter move across the synapse, like I say, with the aids of energy, with the help of energy from the mitochondria. Okay, then you bind to receptor protein. Once you bind to receptor protein, right, the chemical impulse automatically becomes back electrical and continue flow. The end. Okay. Quick recap. Electrical impulse goes into the synaptic vesicle. Inside synaptic vesicle, got neurotransmitter, which is the main thing that converts the electrical to chemical. Then the synaptic vesicle release it into the synapse, then the neurotransmitter will move across with the help of energy. Once I reach the other side, the brother that catches him is receptor protein. Finish. The impulse is inside the neurotransmitter. Yes, correct. That's why it's called neurotransmitter. It helps transmit the nerve impulse across it. Okay. So just enough time. Page number 44, you should be able to try this yourself. It's very simple. Okay, do this yourself, but I will do 45. 44, you have to do yourself. Please, got time to do. Okay, name structure P and Q. Okay, this one I want to change a little bit because here you got neurotransmitter, so I don't point the neurotransmitter, I want to point to this thing. Neurotransmitter is inside what? The thing that containing the neurotransmitter is called the synaptic vesicle. Yes. Synaptic vesicle. Q. Okay, what's Q, guys? Q is the fella that catches the neurotransmitter, right? Yeah. So this is your. It looks like those channel carrier protein, right? Remember they were in chapter 3. So this is a type of a protein or receptor protein. A. No, this is not synapse. Synapse is the gap. If they point the gap here, yeah, that's the synapse. Okay, yeah, by the way, if they point here, just to let you know, this is synapse. Okay, now this one just now I didn't mention in front, but in your notes got one. Okay, we do it here. How to ensure the transmission of nerve impulse from synaptic node to the receiving neuron is in one direction. Okay, like meaning just now in front we learned, right, why nerve impulse is always moving from the synaptic node to the dendrite of the next neuron, mean from the butt to the next person's mouth, the next person's head. But why you cannot go back? Right, when you shit into or poop into other people's mouth already, right, you cannot spit back. It sounds very wrong, but yeah, anyways, you'll get it. Why cannot go back? So there are two reasons. Okay, reason number one, I want you to answer me. If you look at sorry, I know very disgusting, okay, but at least you understand, right? Okay, if you look at here, right, the dendrite of the receiving neuron, okay, answer me this up. Only what can be found at the dendrite of the receiving neuron? Again, what can be only found at the dendrite of the receiving neuron? Only exactly, Isabel, very good, the receptor protein. Meaning, you cannot go back. For the first reason why you cannot go back is because you go back, nobody catches you. You jump, you fall down and die. No brother there to catch you. That's why you cannot go back. So number one, because receptor protein is only found at dendrite of reason number two, the opposite. Okay, listen carefully. What can only be released from the synaptic node? Again, what can only be released at the synaptic node? The butt, the end of the neuron. Only neurotransmitter. So since only neurotransmitter come from here, meaning once you reach here, you cannot go back, is because there's nothing here to convert your electrical back to chemical. So that's why they definitely cannot go back. Get it? So that's the second reason. Neurotransmitter is only released at the synaptic node. And we are almost there. Okay. Give one example of neurotransmitter. So example, okay, there are many neurotransmitter in your body. Different neurotransmitter basically controls different kind of, let's say, like actions. So in our syllabus, we learn a few. We shall talk about it soon. So the easiest one is adrenaline, which is a neurotransmitter stroke hormone that gives us energy. Okay, when you need it, like for example, during emergency situation, like when you're very excited or when you need to run away from a thief, for example. And the second one, most of you should hear this before, called dopamine. Dopamine basically, number one, controls regular muscle movement. Basically, when you control muscle, dopamine is the main thing. And number two, dopamine also is the neurotransmitter or hormone that makes us feel happy. Okay, so these are the two most common examples. Since you've got a little bit more time, let's practice write a process one time. Okay, let's go page 49. Now, explain the movement of nerve impulse across the synapse. So how nerve impulse can move across the synapse? Guys, number one, electrical impulse, right? When it reaches here, where does it go first? Number one. Last, let's go. Where does it go into? Into the synaptic vesicle. Very good. Exactly. So electrical impulse diffuses into the synaptic node, into the synaptic vesicle at the synaptic node. Okay, next. What's inside the synaptic vesicle? Inside the synaptic vesicle contains the very important thing. Yes, your neurotransmitter. That's the main thing. So talk about it, you get 1 mark. Synaptic vesicle contain by yourself neurotransmitter. Neurotransmitter is the one that transmits your nerve impulse. So how does it transmit nerve impulse? Because just like we say, you need this thing to convert what to what? You convert the electrical impulse to chemical impulse. Exactly. So we say we convert electrical impulse to chemical impulse. Okay, convert electrical to chemical impulse. Okay, okay. Then the next thing is your synaptic vesicle then will release the neurotransmitter into the synapse. So you convert the chemical already, means you can take the impulse across it. So the next thing is this is your synaptic vesicle. It will then release the neurotransmitter. into the synapse, into the gap here. Now, but just now we mentioned, right, the gap is very big. Neurotransmitter very small. So what does it need to move across? What does it need to move across, guys? Everybody come on. What do we need? Okay, we need the mitochondria. We need the energy. So mention both. So now we're going to say your neurotransmitter diffuse across the synapse. So you move across, you jump across the vertical dimension with the aid of ATP energy from the mitochondria. Okay, so you move across the synapse with the aid of energy from the mitochondria. And then let's leave us with the last one already. Okay, faster write this one. One more. Okay, guys. So last thing, once they move across, yeah, you can jump across, but always you'll miss just a little bit. That's why who do you need to catch you? What's the last fella? Who's the last fella that you need here to complete the puzzle? Yes, Isabel. Yes, Jason. Others, come on. Last one, last one. You jump across already, you need one more fella to catch you. And the energy, someone just lack a little bit, you need your receptor protein. Very good. So write yourself, you bind to the receptor protein at the dendrite. And then once you bind to the receptor protein, you convert back to electrical impulse. That's it. Okay, now what we're going to do now here is questions that relate to the process that we just learned. Okay, which is, look at this question here. They say, this explain the effect of painkiller drug on the transmission of nerve impulse. So guys, besides asking like to explain the whole process over here, like very straightforward process, right? You also will ask question that is, not inside your textbook also one. Like for example, this one, very common one. Okay, so you know that you eat painkiller, right? After you eat already, right, you don't feel pain, right? You hit pain, leg pain, butt pain, eat already, then no pain already. So painkiller drug actually affects this process over here that makes you feel no pain. Okay, so how exactly? Okay, first, let's say this is your arm. Oops. Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, like somebody, let's say take knife and you cut you and then your blood spray out. Okay, you feel very pain. Okay, now one guys can answer me or not. Why do you feel pain? Now, how can we feel pain? When somebody you, knife you, why you feel pain? Because inside your skin, we have what that detects pain? We have receptor, correct? So this receptor, once it detects pain, right? Now, how does the signal then flow? What helps you to transmit the nerve impulse towards your brain? What's the next thing here? Yeah, is your that? What is that? What's this thing? Remember how nerve impulse is transmitted from the receptor. Motor neuron is the last one. Sensory is the first one. Sensory. How you sense one, remember? Yeah, your sensory neuron. Then you will transmit into your spinal cord, right? Where your spinal cord got another neuron here. What's that neuron called? The other neuron is your relay, inside your spinal cord one, then you go to your brain. So once the signal reaches your brain, then only you feel pain. So this is something we went through last week, right? Receptor detect already, then sensory send the signal to relay in your spinal cord, then it goes up to your brain. Now, painkiller drug actually stops the pain signal over here in the synapse from reaching your brain. Okay, it's like, let's say for example, in class you slap somebody, then the fellow, he's not happy, he want to go to the pejabat, find teacher and tell your teacher. But on the way to the pejabat, right, you call your friend and you go and beat him up. Don't let him reach the pejabat. So if this fellow that you slap didn't go to the pejabat and tell teacher don't know, then nothing happened. So long teacher don't know you do bad things, that bad thing never occur. Right? So exactly what's happening here. If the pain signal doesn't reach your brain, you don't know you feel pain. Even though here it's like your blood coming out, but no pain also. Okay, so how does this happen? Now, number one, we have many kinds of neurotransmitter, as we mentioned. So the there's actually a neurotransmitter that carries pain signal. Painkiller drug will specifically break down all the neurotransmitter, not all, but as many as possible, as many neurotransmitters as possible that carries the pain signal. So that's the first thing we're going to say here. Okay, say the painkiller drug disintegrates Oops. Disintegrates neurotransmitter which carries pain signal. Painkiller. And therefore, okay, next thing you answer me, since the neurotransmitter that carry pain is being disintegrated, right? Meaning less of the neurotransmitter will move across the synapse and bind to what? What's this thing called already? Very good. It's about studying the receptor protein. So usually cannot jump across and bind to the receptor protein and reach the next neuron. So that's basically the thing here. So we're going to say less neurotransmitter carrying pain signal binds to receptor protein at receiving neuron. So therefore, if the pain signal doesn't reach here, the pain signal definitely won't reach your brain now. So therefore, less pain signal reaches the brain, and therefore less pain is felt. Okay, I can. So disintegrate neurotransmitter which carries pain signal is the main thing you have to say. So usually structure, let's say we count 2 marks. Yeah, you mentioned this and it's a half already. Okay, now the next question you're going to do is the opposite of this thing. Okay, so now they say here, suggest how transmission of nerve impulse move across gap X. Sorry, what am I saying? How transmission of nerve impulse across? Okay, no. Across gap X is affected after a stimulant drug is injected into human body. So gap X is actually referring to the synapse, the gap. Okay, so same again, they're asking questions regarding the transmission of nerve impulse across the synapse. So now this further take drug, hipanagi dada, stimulant drug. So according to your vocab, if I take stimulant drug, what will happen to this person? What will happen to someone if he takes a stimulant drug? What do you think will happen to his body? What happened to him? What will happen? Become excited, become active. Okay, sort of. Okay, I'm expecting you all to say become very high. No, like wow, laugh and they're very happy at that. Okay, like happy laugh for no reason, just very high laugh. You will say, you know the meaning of high, right? Okay, so what happened in his body? What this drug actually do to make him feel high? So number one is actually a bit opposite of the painkiller drug. Now I'll show you the first 3 points first. So stimulant drug basically stimulate the secretion of neurotransmitter, mainly being dopamine. That's why if there's more neurotransmitter, more of it will move across the synapse. Means more of it will go across the next neuron. Meaning, your central nervous system will be more active because you have more signal transmitting around your brain, your spinal cord. Central nervous system is your brain, So if you have more neurotransmitter, basically your brain is more active, more awake. Meaning, more signal from the brain will be transmitted to your body. Go to your muscles, your organs. So your whole body will be just more energetic and more active. That's why you're like, I'm just very, very hyperactive like that. Understand? So if they ask this question in structure, what does stimulant drug do? You can write these 3. But of course, if it's essay, you've got to try to relate more to the process that we just explained over here. So if you've got more neurotransmitter, meaning more will bind to the what of the next neuron. Okay, so I purposely leave one blank here. So you got more neurotransmitter in the synapse already. So more will bind to what of the next neuron? Will bind to the. So when you want to go to the next neuron, you're going to bind to what? Same thing lah. Yes. Correct, Jason. The receptor protein. So meaning more neurotransmitters is passing to the next neuron, meaning more neurotransmitter, like I said just now, going to your effectors, like your muscles, okay, your organs like your heart, your lungs. So your heart pump faster, your breathing gets faster, meaning more blood, more oxygen, more energy lah. So you also can highlight this one as one of the main point. More energy is produced. Okay, so for structure, you can aim these 4 points, these 3 to 4 points. Okay. Essay then, yeah, you write all this. Okay, write this. So by the way, how people actually get addicted to drugs, like stimulants. Stimulants is one of the most common drugs. Okay, so stimulant drugs example is like, people call it as meth. Okay, they also sometimes refer it to as cocaine, for example. So those are the most common stimulant drug maybe you heard before. So why people get addicted is because after a certain period of time, right, the effect of the drug will subside. After it subsides already, right, then you feel just very tired, no strength, very emo, just like very happy, very high. Now you no energy already. Like, oh, then you like, oh, I feel terrible. Why like that one? Okay, I think I need to take a drug. That's how people get addicted because they miss the feeling of very high just now. When the effect of the drug gone, they suddenly like very low, very depressed like that. So that's what caused people to get addicted because they miss the effect of the drug. Okay, so once you're done, that's it for this part.